friends. Welcome to Tom and Dave Discover DotVVM. I'm
Hello.
Tom.
And I'm Dave. Hello.
Okay, great. It's great to see you again. And today we will be talking more about what we started last time.
Yes.
Last time we were talking about date pickers and time pickers and date time pickers and all other things that correspond to date. And we found out that the codebase of date picker in Tailwind UI, the new set of components we released for .vvm 5, that the implementation could be a little bit better. So we will be using AI to fix it.
Yes.
Like AI created AI slop. So we will use AI to unslop it, maybe, something like that. Well, let's try it and we will see.
Yes, we'll try and see. And as we're talking about this, you can already try Tailwind UI for .vvm and you can report any issues you find to us and we'll try to fix them as quickly as possible. Just like this datetime picker we're gonna fix today.
Yeah, to be more precise, AI will try to fix them as quickly as possible. And yeah, that's true. We released .vvm 5 preview 10, which should be ideally the last public preview of .vvm. And after that, we will ship the stable version. And Tailwind, since we named the first public release like RC1, so this Tailwind uses different versioning scheme. It's 5.0.0 RC2, but it should be compatible with .vvm 5 preview 10.
Okay.
It's a bit complicated, all these numbers, but like if you just update all the packages to the latest preview versions, they should be compatible with each other, so you should have no problem using that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Because we try to release everything at the same, roughly at the same time frame. So you can also explore this product page on our website, which was created in one of our previous episodes by AI. So this is not our content. We are not responsible for that. Like, I don't know which model did that, but like it should be fine. But here is how the controls look like. Some of them are here. And this control is what we will be talking about today, how to improve it and ensure that it works in all scenarios that we want. Yeah, so that's it.
And also, just like today with AI, we are gonna try to fix something that AI wrote. So it's gonna be a little bit of like straightening out AI, just like your new series, Hypeless AI without any of the hype.
Yeah.
Which the first episode was already last week, I think.
I think it's 2 weeks ago. We had the first episode of Hypeless AI. It's a new series of conferences, online conferences we started, and we would like to invite guests who will show how they use AI in their day-to-day job, what is their experience, how they structure the prompts, what use cases AI works for them and doesn't work. So that's but for now, end of the marketing, I will close that. You will find the link in the description. So let's look at how Date Picker is actually created, and we have the demo application we showed in a previous episode. So for Tailwind components, we have this internal app that shows all the use cases of every component, so we are able to test it and make sure that the control works. And so as you can see, the date picker, it's built on an Air date picker component, which is a JavaScript library, and we just wrapped this library to behave like a .vvm component. We last time I remember we changed that implementation a little bit so the user can type the date, which is important scenario, because if this would be for your birth date, you probably don't want to like chase for the correct year.
Yes, exactly.
Here you want to type it. So both these use cases have to be supported. And so this is date and time. Picking experience for choosing the time is not maybe not the greatest one, but you can type it, so like it can still work, and it's part of the library, so we will not re-implement it at least for now. Maybe in the future we will decide to change it a bit.
And if you have any recommendations, you can recommend your favorite JavaScript library that's small enough to be wrapped in a .vvm control.
Yeah, and also there is another feature is a localization, because the control ships with localization metadata for more cultures. So if you select this culture, then you can see it's in Czech. We have these weird names of months which are very confusing for people of speaking other languages, but like we like them. And also the format of the date is different than it's here, because it's in our culture the default format for the date is here. And also the component needs to respect, once you change the value some other way from the server in the view model, then the control needs to reflect that immediately. So like we should be able to work with that.
Yeah, which isn't anything super special, because .vvm already supports it. We just needed the control to be bound to it and to respond within the air JavaScript we wrapped.
Yeah.
So what's the issue with it?
The issue is that I wouldn't say we vibe coded that, because there was quite a lot of prompts to steer it to the correct result. And we gave it an example how usually .vvm components are implemented. So it's not a full vibe coding. However, there is still quite a lot of code that might not be there or could be done in some other way. So basically we should do code review and the functional review of this component. So the first thing we should start with is we can look at the code base, how it looks like. So this is our datetime picker Tailwind implementation. It's a Tailwind composite control, and like it's pretty simple because it just calls other method to build the control itself. So, and all the properties are defined in this datetime picker capability, because they are shared with other control datetime form field, which has the same property, so we don't want to define that twice. Actually, these summary commands, they are needed only if they differ from these commands in this capability. So I'm tempted to just delete that, because
that's our first refactor.
The capability in datetime picker and the datetime picker form field doesn't need different commands for each property. And the capability, we generate the documentation from these commands. So
and the capability itself already has comments.
It
so
has
that's why
summary
we can
commands everywhere. So there is no need to override that. It was probably hallucinating slightly different texts in these commands, but like one version should be enough. We don't need two versions. So like that. And we can also look at the other call side of this method and do it in the field as well. And as you can see in the field, we don't have this capability param properties. So the datetime picker form field was taking these these summary commands from the capability, but the control didn't. So now we unified that. This is a very frequent case when using AI, that it implements the same way in multiple ways. So what I focus on the review is usually to see if there are two implementations of the same thing and try to unify that, because then it's much easier to maintain.
And what I also encounter a lot of the times is that when you decide on a better option, the old option stays there.
That's true.
And it doesn't fix every instance of the old option. So that might be also the reason why it stayed there with the capability, even though it was rewritten to a capability. Okay. So,
and I think we could go further, because also this is probably copy-paste of code of the form field control, so it could be reused. There should be some base class or some shared things to generate these form fields. It's not there, so that would be the next step. We would probably not do it live, but the library works. All the use cases we want to support are supported. However, the code could be cleaned up because it was generated by AI.
It was more of an exploratory generative generation, so it wasn't really supposed to be the perfect on the first run. We just needed to validate if it's even possible to do something like this. And it is, and it works.
Yeah, to be honest, to be completely honest, if we would want it to be perfect, we would never ship it, because
Probably.
that would take so much time that we don't have. That it would take ages and probably wouldn't be relevant at the time when we would be at that point that we are perfectly happy with the code base. We of course want to be sure that there are no security issues in the code base, which we did review, but we focused just on some things, not like this do not repeat yourself patterns, which are harder to discover.
And also a lot of the things like safety and proper usage we already get from .vvm.
Yeah.
We're building on top of it. We're not rewriting how .vvm works. We're just building a new layer above it.
Yeah. That's true. Okay. That's true. Yeah, because for the end users, the fact that this is probably copied from some other control doesn't matter if the code is the same. Yeah. It matters for us when we need to make changes. We would need to change it on multiple places. Okay, so that's the form field. However, let's go back to this helpers. So we are rendering input with some CSS classes. That should be fine. And if placeholder is specified, we should do it like that. AI often likes to generate these helper methods, and if you look closer, it's doing this. Like if it's a binding, we will like transform it like that. Otherwise, it would create new value or binding that would do that.
The classic overprotective.
And this is completely useless. It's like a very defensive code. Yeah. But it doesn't see, because it's reference from NuGet package, it cannot see the method set attribute, which handles all of these things automatically. So if it would be empty string or null, it would not include the attribute at all. So what I can do is just this, and even if this would be null, then we would still be fine, because that would just ignore this thing. So we can simplify it even to this, and we can completely remove that helper method, which was used only once. So I don't know where I was here. Yeah. So like, and these are not big things, but like it's, you are working with more code, and even if you later use AI to do something, it needs to process more tokens. So like it's better to keep it shorter.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's fine. Then like if selected value, I probably think that selected value should be set all the time, because like what is the point of date picker when the selected value is not specified?
Well, the value can be empty before we set anything. No, can it not?
Yeah, but like it's the type here is iValue binding date time.
Okay.
Nullable, which is fine, because if the control is empty, then there would be null.
Yeah.
But still, there should be the binding. I cannot imagine that you would use this control without writing selected value equals something, because then you have no way how to interact with the value. So I think this doesn't need to be nullable at all. We can use this to prevent this annotation, because it should always be set. We could even use the required keyword, I think. I don't know what, but probably just .vvm creates that, so probably it should be fine to use it, to define it like that. And then we will not need to worry about that too much. And here, so this branch will never happen. So
and once again, the set property does have its own validation, its own checking of the value binding.
Exactly.
That's one of one of my main issues with it is a lot of the time, a lot of the code I already use is defensive enough.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, AI tries to be even more defensive because it doesn't know.
Yeah.
So that's, I'm not sure how to exactly fix it. I'm not advocating for having submodules instead of NuGet packages. Where the AI could read the code reliably, but
yeah, like the problem is when AI emits this code, it I don't know if they look at, they probably don't use C# language server, so they couldn't even look at the summary command of this method because it's written there. If the value is null, the attribute is removed. Yeah, so like we can maybe improve this command to hint AI even more that this is not necessary, but like the only recipe would be that AI has more data to be trained on, because then it would probably know from its intuition that like you don't need to do that. But we don't have that many composite controls published on the web, so this is a limitation which is not easy to overcome. This is building knockout binding group, so like based on the enum we are putting this type. Then this is also useless because the selected value would be there in all cases. And then if this is selected, then it's calling this another helper method, add value or binding,
which calls add value or
another
binding.
method, like and this calls this method, and if it's value, it's calling some specific functionality to serialize it. But
okay, that's a bit weird.
like it adds this thing to the knockout binding group, to this parameter. This is the value, which is value or binding, and if it's binding it will just use it. If it's value, it needs to serialize it to string, and you need specific way, specific format how you need to serialize it. I'm not sure what happens if you, but probably .vvm would not I don't know if you use this add binding group add value. There is object value, and I'm not sure if .vvm will handle the date correctly here. So like let's look. And this is also useful to see. If you use .vvm, don't be scared to look in the .vvm code base to see what's going on inside. So like let's find no, not add value, but no code binding group. That's the class. The add value is defined there, and this add value JSON serializer serialize, and it's using default serialization thing for .vvm. So if you pass a date time, it will serialize it. It should serialize it in a .vvm compatible way. So I think this entire ceremony here is not necessary, because it should be fine. So let's remove this, and probably even this.
I think
what
that
I did.
I think that all of those cases are already accounted for in .vvm. So.
But I'm changing the code manually. Did you notice that I didn't ask agent to do that?
Yes.
So let's use parallel programming. I really like it. You can write multiple lines at the same time.
That's called parallel programming.
I call it parallel programming because, as you can see, I'm writing multiple lines now.
Yes, instead of having the agent write multiple lines, you can write them yourselves.
Exactly. And here, let's just try this, and we will see what's going on. And as you can see, it doesn't work because this is value or binding,
and it's
add value. It has to be add value.
Oh, we just edited 4 lines.
Okay, exactly. And now let's go back. I'm not sure if this would work if it's value or binding. So maybe AI was right, and we are like to...
Well, let's take a look back at the add value if we do have some handling for... because if it calls .json serialize value...
No, I think that if you pass their value or binding, it will not work that easily as as because datetime will be supported here, but not the. So we would need to unwrap it. So
okay, in that case, do we have a .vvm helper already prepared for unwrapping value or binding? I think there should be.
I think that I will have to revert it and simplify it on another place. Yeah, because problem is that if it's binding, you need to call if it's a binding, you need to call at, and if it's value, you need to call at value. That's the problem.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And if this would be extension method on knockout binding group, then it would be probably better, and we could move that to the framework. Yeah. So like because this branch it either calls at or at value. Yeah. So that's the problem. Just we don't need the serialization here because it would .vvm would serialize it the way we need anyway. So like I will just.
I think we don't even need 3 layers of abstractions for this function. I think the topmost one is enough.
Yeah, and this is the point. I don't want to do it myself. So let's ask agent, because we promised people some AI stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's cool. Okay, so the at is doesn't need its own serialization. .vvm will work. Correctly simplify it. Yeah.
Okay. That's now quite a general prompt.
Yeah. I hope it will understand what I meant, but like it should have.
Yeah, I hope it just removes the serialize func and doesn't do anything else.
Let's see. I'm using the default model GPT-5.4, so we will see if it. So it doesn't need this constant. That's great, because like it shouldn't be there. If we need that, it should be in .vvm code. Oh, it's building the solution. But like
okay, it claims to have already done the work, and it seems by the red line on the scroll bar that it actually removed all of the stuff.
Yeah, it removed the serialization, kept this function, removed these overloads, and it tries to do just that. However, there is a problem that now it's changing in under my hands. Now it succeeded. Okay, so that should be fine. Because if you look at only the green lines, if the value is null, then we don't do anything. That's correct. And if it's if it has value, yeah, because it's nullable. So if it's not null, and the dot value is the actual value of that, and then the code continues. So if there is a binding, get the binding and
add the
binding to the group. Otherwise, add value and put there the value or default.
Yeah.
So that should be fine. Now it's running tests for datetime picker. It's okay. It's maybe, but never mind. We have tests, so let it run the tests to verify that, and the app is not running, so it's not.
Great.
So now it's looking why the test failed.
It broke everything.
It broke everything, so we need to build successful playwright couldn't reach this. Okay, no problem. Yeah, because I'm running in dev tunnel and not through that. Maybe that could be the reason. So let's never mind. Let's keep the change, because it seems to be correct. We simplified that quite a lot, and let me try it on my own. So let's open the browser once more, refresh this page, and see if we still work, and looks like it still works. So that should be fine. And this min and max constraints, I'm not sure what is this constraint. Oh yeah, it seems that it works.
Yeah, it's probably for like last year.
Yeah, last year works. Yeah, so the constraints should work properly. Year 2025 is allowed, and then it's not allowed to go outside this period. So that's fine. So probably we are fine. Okay, so that's it. And this method, maybe it could go to .vvm codebase itself because it's a helper method on knockout binding group. So I don't like it to be this private static method. Like, so I could also ask the agent, move this method to some extensions, project level extensions at least.
Yeah. Because there might be other controls that will need it later.
And I said this method, I can say like this method. Yeah. So I don't even care where it keeps extension methods. I just need to know that there should be one place where we have specific methods for some place for extension methods. So it will look in the project, find some place where we want to keep the extension methods, and that's it.
Just simple .vvm helpers.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've reduced it quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering what would be the solution for the agent to know that it doesn't need to do this. Like, I'm wondering if they have if they have more access to code bases, like having a MCP server for like the, what is it called? For the .NET, Roslyn,
like language server, C# language server. Yeah.
If it would actually understand what is needed and what isn't. I'm always like, a lot of the things support language servers, but a lot of them don't. I'm always wondering if it even does use the language server, if it's provided, because I can't seem to get a solid opinion on if everything already supports language servers and already understands everything or not.
I think it would actually help. Now we have the results. So it created a plan what we would do, and I'm not sure if it's done or not. But it created, it moved this method to these knockout binding group extensions, and they did these helpers. So even this implement plan, I don't know if it's necessary because we already did it. So let's go away from that. However, that's probably fine. I think that having access to language server would help, and I think open code is doing that. I'm not sure how to configure it if it happens by some automagic, but I saw it in the feature list that it's supported, and I think that GitHub Copilot would get this. If it doesn't have it already, it will get it soon, and other tools as well, because it's quicker than to build the entire solution. It's quicker to ask Roslyn, okay, are there any warnings or errors in the file I just edited?
Yeah.
So I think that this would save some time. So why not? I think that's logical. What we will need that. So okay, let's review the rest. Date format, time format. So like if we have date format, we need to convert it to the different format that AirDate Picker uses. Same with time format. And if there is culture, resolve culture name, then this is, I'm not sure about that, because if it's not empty, then we will pass it further. And if it's null or white space, culture info current UI culture name, I guess it will never be null or white space.
Yeah.
Current culture will always be something. So like do not that's interesting. Can this be empty?
wondering if...
I don't think it could be empty.
I'm wondering if there's a difference between current UI culture and current culture.
Yeah,
because
there is
maybe
difference.
UI
There is
can
difference.
be null and
Yeah.
current culture cannot be null. But I'm not 100% sure.
Like this is another problem, because like usually we don't distinguish between current culture and current UI culture. Current culture is used for date, time, and number formats.
Yeah.
And current UI culture is for the strings. So when you look in the resource files, current UI culture is what you should care about.
Okay.
If you are looking for format strings, which we do here both, then we should respect the current culture. Usually, in most cases, they are the same. And here, I'm not really sure how to approach that, because the control doesn't support different like format and different language localization, like the text Viberte datum, it's in Czech.
Yeah.
And like there is no two culture parameters to distinguish that, so we have to choose either of them, and I would probably choose the UI culture.
Okay.
And the user can override that, so if they need something else, they can pass it here. However, I don't think this can be empty in any case. Let's ask. I don't need to explain. It's not human. If I would be human, I would explain why it looks weird to me, but this is a AI agent, so I really don't need to explain myself. Just a question: can current UI culture name be actually null or white space?
Yeah, I was waiting if you actually write it to be the judge that says that it's misleading and it's leading to conclusions before asking.
Oh, that makes sense. If the culture is invariant, then it's empty string.
Okay.
So it makes sense. Okay. I didn't realize that, but yeah, that's true. There is an invariant culture. I didn't think about that, and the name is empty string, so it can be. Okay, so it's null or white space, or it's null or empty. Like, I prefer it's null or empty, but maybe never mind. Okay.
But I'm wondering if the Air JavaScript doesn't support probably an empty string as a culture.
Yeah.
So we need it.
Yeah. And I added this nota bene comment that invariant culture returns empty string, because I think that if I look here in 6 months, I would be asking the same question. Exactly. So like adding this helpful command can be useful. Okay, convert format. Here, I will not dig into the details how we do that, because it was also calling convert date format and convert time format, where we have these things.
We have a map there, yeah.
Yeah, we have this and this. And yeah, so it's calling convert format. It gives format, and here is some function that is called for character and how many times it's there. And basically, based on this switch, we are converting from .NET format strings to like the library format strings that are used. So I will not check for these rules. I believe the AI get them right, because I gave it the documentation page where it was. For me, what is important, if this is actually covered by tests.
Okay, yeah.
That's, or you have other?
No. I'm thinking that it's a simple mapping, so it shouldn't be. The convert format is just a helper function for mapping those things, so it's okay. But yeah, if it's supported by tests from end to end, so if it's firstly converted properly, and then secondly, if Air datetime picker actually understands every case, if we actually support it properly.
Yeah. Also, ReSharper tells me that this is not important, because it has the same outcome as this catch-all branch. So let's simplify that also. Okay. And what I would probably want to have this convert date and convert time format closer to the convert format method. So let's move it up. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
This is a useful
That
keyboard shortcut from ReSharper. And basically, I think that we've finished, because now we have everything. And this is like my nitpicking, but I always want to play with the order of methods in a class, because this is called from here. This is then called from here. So I want to have this logical sequence, like to be, but it's a matter of personal preference, not that it must be like that. Okay, so this is the backend changes, because this is basically the entire code base of datetime picker on the server. We just need to collect what the user gave us in this capability and build the HTML element and send there all the attributes and the knockout binding group, which gets then serialized like that. So we will call this knockout binding handler and pass it this binding group. This is called this calls toString on it, which will serialize it properly. Sorry, so that should be fine. This is also interesting, because this is another case where it's too unnecessarily complicated. We can just use input set attribute disabled and put here enabled, which is value or binding of boolean, but we need to switch the logic, and there is a nice function called negate, which will do exactly that. And again, if this would be, it should be an extension method. So if I call it on null, it will propagate to null.
Yeah.
And I don't need any of those actually.
Yeah, and a lot simpler code. It should be the capability enabled.
Yeah, this. And
it's actually nullable. The value or binding itself.
Never mind. Yeah, because you don't need to set it up. If you don't assign to enabled, then it's fine. If you assign, it has to be either true or false, or a binding that returns true or false, but it doesn't have to be set. This is to indicate that it's an optional property. Yeah. But that's why I am happy that we made this required, because this binding must be there all the time. It tells DotVVM that this property is required.
Yeah.
So this is not important. However, if it's not set, then null will propagate there, so this attribute would not be set. And like, let's do all the attributes before I will do the binding, so it's like
cleaner.
Cleaner, exactly. And also there is it supports the Fluent syntax, so if I would really want to nitpick, I could like remove all these inputs and make it like that and all the semicolons, but I don't want. It's fine. Yeah, so now it's much cleaner. We didn't make any functional changes, I believe. Just we removed some overly defensive code. For something we used AI, for something we did in the old-fashioned hands-on method where I actually typed those keys and was editing the code, sometimes even more lines in parallel. If you hold Alt, you can use this parallel programming of mine. I really like it. Okay.
And that's a programming tip of the day.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's move to the TypeScript part, which gets more interesting.
Yeah.
So like what we can simplify here, it's how many lines of code it is? It's 680 lines of code. For quite simple wrapper over a ready-made library that has all the functionality, it's quite a lot. On the other hand, like there is still not maybe that big, not a big problem. So here we have this function called norm.
Okay.
I'm not sure if this is the best name for the function, but it's like again, it's overly defensive because like these modules probably have default exports, and it's just looking if it has the default or it's just the object, and it's adding this first day one. I'm not sure why is it here, so let me ask. Does the selection and I will We don't have the selection.
I think $sign.
Really?
No. Okay.
Oh. So I will ask if this selected line is really necessary. Because it's just looking how the JavaScript module is defined, and if it has default export, it will grab it. Otherwise, it will take the. It doesn't see the line which I have selected. Really? Oh my god! Add selection.
Okay,
so let me ask it once more. Oh, I have to edit this.
And I think
yeah, because it needs to look inside the module how it's defined, and probably it will be all modules would be done the same way. So if we just understand how the module exports look like, then
yeah.
Oh my god, like it doesn't see the selection.
You can ask it just paste it in. Or like probably the norm name.
Yeah.
This actually seems to be a bug in GitHub Copilot, because I saw when you pressed enter, it didn't have the reference in there.
Yeah.
So I think we found a bug.
Both direct module and default export shapes, which can vary by bundling module interop.
Okay, so
the bundler is as built and always be as built. How they do that and rely on their method.
Okay, so my question is why the first day isn't ever changed, because if the first day
I think
is
it's the default.
To be...
No, it's suppressing it what goes from the
Yeah.
Okay.
It seems to be just hard setting first day to 1.
That's true. I didn't realize that when I use this picker here, then this is July, so it should be American format, but first day is Monday.
Yeah.
So like it's not good that we are overriding that.
We could probably also look
Oh my god, it's looking in the bundled JavaScript to understand how they treat modules, to understand what we could do.
Okay, I'm thinking that we can look at what's being imported if the first day is actually set there.
Yeah.
And if it is, then we don't need to rewrite it.
For sure, there will be some modules where the first date would be set. Like, so let's look at the workspace uses ES build. Add to repository instructions. Let's do that.
Oh yeah, it just adds it to the working GitHub. Copilot instructions.
Installed locally, uses CommonJS output. Under real objectives, this defensive part is not needed. Yeah, so we don't need this defensive part. However, still we need to touch this default. And so let me ask if do we really want to override first day to Monday? I keep whatever the local wants. So let it fix it.
I'm thinking if there's any reason to have it forced for the first day, and one of them is if the way you're looking at the date is different than the way you want the date represented, because you can have a check Monday starts, but the the way you see the date is American.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that maybe it actually changes the first day somewhere later down the road.
Yeah, so I told it to do it, so it will just extract the default or use this overly defensive part, but never mind, like if they change the way how they bundle it, maybe it could be useful.
Yeah.
Not sure about that, but like never mind. And it's removed this first day override, so in the English localization, in US English, we should probably have the first date on a Sunday, otherwise it would be Monday. Yeah. And let us see what the feedback of the users would be. We can also make a property that would be able to override the first day. Yeah. So let me see if it works. So if we are here in the English, we have Sunday. And if I scroll down to the localization, we have Monday here. Okay. So it's correct now. Yeah. I hope it moved the... Yeah, it's 5th. And here it's 6th.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a bug we didn't even know.
Yeah, we didn't even notice that, and it's not maybe a bug, just unintended behavior. But like it's good we caught that. Okay, so these imports couldn't be simplified much because like doesn't make sense here. Like probably it's fine. We have to just pass them through this function. I would rename it to like normalized module or something like that, but I don't have ReSharper working here, so let me try to do... Can I rename? No, there is no ReSharper here. I don't know why. So again, parallel programming. Normalized module export. Okay, now it like this. Okay, it would be great. So that's, I'm actually making it longer. Here is the fallback. So if it doesn't find the locale, it will use English.
Yeah.
I'm fine. This resolve locale, it's and detect. It tries to detect it from the page, and this is not correct because .vvm forces the locale. We should read it from .vvm actually. Yeah. So it will... Who is calling that? Binding.culture or detect.
Okay.
Yeah, so either the component specifies the culture, it's fine, but if it doesn't, then we need to detect locale and we need to get it from .vvm.
Yeah.
So let me show the .vvm. Let me open the DevTools. And here the .vvm object should have this get culture function. So .vvm get culture, and it should give us this. Problem is that we need just the first two, first part. So we need to...
Well, we know that it's the first two letters. And it will always be...
Yeah, they are calling resolve over this. So this would be fine. It will take... If it finds it right away, it will return it. Otherwise, it will split it and tries to find the first part. Otherwise, uses fallback. This is fine.
Okay.
This is not necessary at all because I can just call like .vvm.getCulture. Yeah. Yeah. And I have the type metadata here in node packages, so that should be fine. So I don't need this method at all. Yeah. So like this can go away. Okay. Here I have just some TypeScript types, which provide me just metadata for the type definitions for what I want to do. So that should be fine. And here we also have functions that are copied from .vvm, but we should just reuse them. Yeah, because .vvm serialization has parse date and serialized date. We should just use that. Yeah. So let me just change it, and it should also handle empty values. Yeah, because if I look to parse date and what is the declaration, I'm not sure. So let me again show .vvm code base. So we have in framework, there would be something like resources, scripts, and here is the client side part of .vvm, and we have serialization. There should be date, I guess, and there is parse date, value is string, null, or undefined, and there should be serialized date as well. Also, so it's fine. We don't need to do anything special.
We're ready for it.
And we can just, instead of parse.vvm date, we can just return this. There is just the only thing, convert to UTC. No, sorry, .vvm serialization parse date. There is just the second parameter, which needs to be false because we don't want to convert it from UTC. And here also, so I will, because the default may be different in .vvm, so I want to make sure that that would be fine. And again, you could see that there is two defensive things, the control, what will happen if .vvm would not be loaded, but .vvm ensures that .vvm scripts would be loaded, so we can rely that these things would be here every single time.
If .vvm isn't loaded, you'll find out even before any control gets rendered.
Exactly, this would never happen. That's it. And here we have, here it needs to be returned. Yeah. So these functions are what it says. Yeah, this could be or null, because like null in, null out.
Yeah.
So let's do it like that. That should be fine. Okay. Date for time value. I'm not sure what this means. So let's look at the call side, but there is quite a lot.
Date for time.
Yeah, it's getting the date and it resets hours and minutes. Yeah, it
so it
creates date object just from hours and minutes. So it's probably necessary for a date picker, for time picker. Yeah.
If we want to keep using the JavaScript date object, which I think we do, so
the control needs it. The control needs it. So we need to take our format of date, make the date object from it, and pass it to the component. That's why we do that.
So far we are just translating.
Exactly.
Doing a lot of creating pipelines for the inner control. So it's fine. It's not like hardcore logic.
Exactly. And here it's parse minmax.vvm date, so that would probably get the min date or why is this weird? These references don't work because I want to find who is using this method. Yeah, so if we get this value from the binding, we get the binding handler, the binding group. So if we get the value, then it will go through this function if it's set. Otherwise, it gets null. So we need to see if the value is today. It will never be today. Always be the date. That's it. So then we will parse it. Otherwise, we will. That's not good. It will always be in our format, actually. It will never be in a different format because it's provided by .vvm.
Yeah.
So let me remove this function completely and just redirect it to parse.vvm date. And parse.vvm date will happily accept null and return null. So we don't even need to do that. We can just parallelly remove this and this.
2 lines at a time.
2 lines at a time. Efficiency. And we can inline this because we will probably not use this anywhere else. And I can also maybe do this. Inline it. Wow.
Whoa.
Very efficient, very efficient. I really like it. Yeah. So we will unwrap it and parse it to a min date to be able to pass it to the control. Now we will put it to air date picker. I never saw this type constructor parameters, but I guess it's type. It looks at the constructor of this class and defines the types of that. It's a nice TypeScript feature. I never saw it. It's nice. So it will create the options of this. Oh, there is which argument type of which. Because if you write new air date picker, the constructor has two arguments, element and options. And this will extract the type definition of the second argument of constructor of this class. So beautiful. The type is this. It's very beautiful. I really like it. So then it's typed like that. It's great. You don't need to.
It's very open. That's true.
Yeah. On the other hand, like this, if I look at this class, these are like air date picker options. So we could use air date picker options.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we learned a new thing. But if we would use this, probably it would be fine. Just we need to import it from the module, and maybe it's not export. So maybe if it's not exported, then like maybe we will not be able to import. So I understand why it's there.
Okay.
Yeah, because if they don't export this type, let's see, they export it. If they wouldn't export it, I would have no way how to touch it. So I would have to extract it like that. So it's actually a nice TypeScript feature. I like it. But let's see. So this is options time picker.
Well,
only time
they
picker.
Exported, so we can now set it to the air date picker option. We don't need the constructor parameter.
Yeah, we can. I just want to keep this. I like it. I like it a lot.
Okay, let's keep it.
Okay. Auto close and keyboard navigation false. We turn this off because then you would not be able to, with that you would not be able to type in the control. If you press the arrows, it will jump over the calendar, which we don't want. So let's assign if it's time. Yeah, if in the case of if it's not time picker, we will assign date format. If it's not date picker, we will assign time format. It makes sense.
But maybe we can swap it around instead of if it's not, then setting it if it is.
They wanted to avoid the or because it could be date time also.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's equivalent to if type is date.
Yeah,
that's type is date time, then do that. And if type is date time or time, do that. So it would be better. However, never mind. Like
yeah, that's fine. I forgot about datetime picker.
Yeah, there is this combined version. Yeah. This min hours undefined, min hours not null. I am wondering. Yeah, min hours could be 0, so we have to distinguish between 0 and null. On the other hand, there couldn't be less hours than 0.
Yeah.
But like that's fine. And null and undefined, if you are checking it like that, it's safer than like type that. I believe that would work the same, but this requires this weird bad operator, which I don't like. So this is probably better.
More descriptive.
Yeah, more descriptive. So pass it there. Our step also the same logic. So that should be pretty fine. And we are returning the new resolve picker config.
Which probably contains the options.
Which contains the options in our format that would just be passed to the control. Some of them are ours. Some would be placed to the control. Yeah, so that's building options for us and also options for the control. So we have the raw values here and then the options. So it's probably fine. Maybe I would do it different way, but I don't see that big problem with that. Yeah. Okay, so that's it. Resolve picker config. We have what else we have here? unwrap option. Let's look at that later. Resolve type.
Which calls unwrap option. Okay.
I guess KO unwrap again, if it would be null or undefined, it would keep it as it is. So I think this is not necessary. Let me ask, but it will not see the selection again. Like so let me ask ChatGPT, is unwrap option necessary? Doesn't KO unwrap
Yeah, I'm thinking
maybe it's just changing the type from maybe observable to
knockout observable
to
or
T
to type.
to T. Yeah.
But unwrap does that too, no?
Probably, but it doesn't handle the maybe observable. What is maybe observable?
Oh.
Here it's T or knockout observable of T.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we need maybe observable? Is there at any point
where is maybe observable used?
A situation where we actually need
subscribe if observable?
Because I think we should probably have mostly observables, not maybe observables.
But it can be, because like if especially for this min date max date, because either there would be string or there would be observable of something, because bindings are observable. So like it makes sense. However, let's it's fine. So it's I will remove this question because it's not necessary. We just are changing types from maybe observable to T. So it can be observable or knockout observable, and we are just changing, like this is the same basically. Oh. Let me do it again, like can we remove the unwrap option function? Don't KO unwrap seems to do the same thing. Let me ask.
Yeah, maybe it's overusing the TypeScript types a bit. Well, that's not what we asked. But it seems that it can be removed.
It is what we ask. Okay, here I think he didn't think if it's a good thing or not. He will just try it, build it, and see the errors.
Okay, yeah.
I think it should work, because like this unwrap also takes T or observable. Maybe observable is T or observable, so
yeah, exactly.
TypeScript should somehow be able to handle that.
The only time I
build past, yeah, but like we have some errors here.
Yeah, the only time I see it useful is if you want to minimize the change or like have abstraction for the defined types above. Oh, min date is still maybe observable. It didn't change its type.
No, that's fine, but serialized date value is string or null. So this is maybe observable. So it's either string or knockout observable string or null or undefined or null or undefined. And KO unwrap string null undefined. I think the signature is the same when it's expanded. Either string null undefined or knockout observable of string null undefined. And here it's string null undefined or this. It should be the same. Maybe Visual Studio is just reporting an error which isn't there.
I think it's maybe confused because it's string null or the observable, and maybe observable is string null or knockout observable. Maybe it's confused because there are too many similar types there. Or maybe the serialized date value needs to be string null or undefined, because that's what's missing, but I'm not sure.
So probably there was some reason for that, but it seems to me that it's just some magic of probably the problem is with this serialized date value, because if we would just say it's a string, I don't know if we will inline.
Wait, the other maybe observables have number null or undefined.
And
so
we don't have undefined here.
Our undefined is missing.
I'm not sure. I would rather delete that because it shouldn't be undefined.
Okay, let's do it. And we'll see.
Yeah, because undefined shouldn't be inside the observable. It will never be inside observable. Either the entire property would be undefined, or that should be like that, but it didn't
and now
fix
more errors came up, so it's missing the undefined kind, because it tells us that we can't, when we take in undefined, we can't make the undefined a value, because our main hours doesn't take undefined now.
Maybe. So
it's
edit here and edit also here. Will this clear? This clear all the errors. So it has to be there, the undefined option. I don't know why much, but it probably needs to be there. And by the way, on the server, we made this option the required, and it will always contain a binding. So this should actually be knockout observable. It will never be just the string, because on the server it can be only binding.
Yeah, and it makes no sense if it's only a string.
Okay, good. So then we have we can resolve this picker config, and then some helper function escape regex, who is using the build names pattern. Let's get to that later. This is just for showing some probably some this is for the format string. Okay. So get token handler, and it's doing these things. I see. So let's continue. It would be nice to actually refactor everything that concerns the format strings to a separate file. So we can ask Copilot extract move all functions concerning the date and time format handling to a separate file. Because it would be easier to maintain if everything concerning these things would be separated from the control.
And also maybe the types could be in its own file. I'm wondering how we handle that in this particular architecture, if we want to have TypeScript all contained in one file, like the types and the functionality, because usually they're split.
I think they can be safely in this file.
Okay,
because they are. Otherwise, you would have to export it from another file and import it here. And I think that if it belongs to the control, it defines how the control API surface it is. I think it's fine if it's in the same file. However, these format things, they would probably only use the strings. So there will not be a problem.
And also the types won't be used anywhere else. So it's fine.
So these are just internal methods.
Yeah.
Because even this function like pat, which is just some helper over string, if it would be in some other file, it would not trigger me that much as it's here.
Okay, it did create a lot of functions.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things I would prefer maybe was, oh, it removed like half of the file. Okay.
That's good. That's good. Let's to review.
Well, we have to review the functions later.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I actually don't understand what it's doing with the formats, because it gets the formats converted to the library
already
language.
Yeah.
So it should just take them and pass them to the control.
Yeah.
So we have to inspect what it's doing actually with these functions, because like if it tries to convert them back to .NET format string, so it could call parse value on .NET that would use the .NET format string to understand what the user typed there. It would be overkill. We could send both versions of format string from the server to the control. So we will not need that.
Okay.
Okay, great. So we have now a bunch of functions here.
Supported format tokens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it seems to be parsing the input value.
Yeah.
And mapping it back.
Yeah. So never mind. Like this is let's keep these changes and ask a further question, like because we get this this time date format is already specified on the control, otherwise takes it from locally or uses the default. It's fine.
Yeah, and it's already for the error date time picker.
Yeah, and I hope so, because I'm not sure about that. Because this default is .NET format string, not error date picker format string.
Well, we can take a look at it.
Look at the documentation. Date format.
I see it on the
Yeah. Okay, so probably it can be also because big M.
Yeah, it seems to be fine.
Yeah, that seems to be fine. And time format. It's using 12 hour. Okay, so it's the same basically. And AA. Okay. Cool. So probably these formats would work also for the air date picker control. Okay, good. So then, but these are defaults. Like in what language this is default?
I don't think it's a default language. I think it's ISO defined.
Yeah, It will probably never happen because this will fall back to English culture. Exactly. So this would probably never happen. So we don't need to worry about that much. Maybe we should remove that because this would never happen actually.
And we always resolve some kind of local. Yeah. So
yeah. Probably to indicate that it will always be there, because in English version it should be there.
Okay, yeah. So at this point we can probably add like origin date format taken from the original .NET, and we don't need to have the double mapping anywhere.
Yeah.
Which
we don't need to.
Yeah, that seems to be working.
Yeah, so we simplified that a bit.
Yep.
Yeah. So where was I? Even one step back. So here we have these formats. We can go through that. We already were here. Normalize selected date. We were here also. So if no, we didn't. So if the control gets the date based on picker type, it will either build just the time portion of the date, or it will crop the hours, minutes, seconds, and milliseconds to that thing. Otherwise, it will return the date itself. That's fine.
Properly, yeah.
Okay. Same selected date. I'm not sure where is this used.
I think it's checking if we selected the same date and we don't need.
Yeah, if the date changes, then we need to switch to another page in the calendar. Yeah,
exactly.
So if the date is it's comparing the date based on the pickers, because if it's time picker, you are interested only in hours and minutes.
Yeah.
If it's a date, then you are interested in that, and if it's otherwise, you need to check these 5 parameters, but you don't care about seconds and milliseconds because that is not relevant for these controls. Okay, so it means it's a useful function.
I would maybe rename it, because same selected date is probably kind of weird. I would like say
date equals maybe
date,
or compare date, something like
that.
Yeah. But like
but it's not needed now.
It's not needed. I don't have ReSharper here. I will have to use AI for that. Fine. Write selected value. This is writing a value in the view model, and I think that this is like maybe too defensive again. But on the other hand, it looks, if the observable is writable, it should be, but if it's not, then we will not do anything. And then we will, if it's date, we will serialize it. Otherwise, we return null. Again, overly defensive, because this function will handle null values as well. And when you are writing in view model, it's good to serialize the date yourself. DotVVM would do it, but you are risking that it would do the time zone conversion. So we want to be sure that we don't do it. Subscribe if observable. It will look at if the min date, max date, and any of the parameters is observable, then it will subscribe to it.
Because it's possible that they're not, because there may be observables.
And then it's tracking the array of the subscriptions that need to be disposed, so it's doing like that. It pushes a lambda that will dispose this subscription. Could be probably fine. And this is mobile pointer. It's detecting if it's a mobile device or not.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is the best way how to detect mobile devices. Explain the mobile device detection to me.
Yeah, because this... What is a pointer value? I'm wondering.
It's because to distinguish if you want mobile or normal date picker, I think it's not about size of the screen. It's more about what, like, mouse cursor or mouse pointer you have. So coarse probably means that you don't have a mouse cursor, you have another way of picking it. I would guess.
That's a bit weird.
So let's look at that. If we change this, it will update this thing. Okay, so if somehow, maybe if you have a tablet and you get the pen or connect a mouse, this will change probably. So, okay, makes sense. Pointer coarse, it usually matches touch-first devices. Phones and many tablets report coarse pointer input. Desktop usually reports fine. So fine means it's high precision. Coarse means like rough precision. So, and we don't detect, that should be probably fine. I guess this is a good way how to detect that. We can change it.
Yeah, I usually see user agent checking.
Yeah, but like that can lie a lot. I think it's they always recommended not to detect browsers or systems, but to detect features. If the browser can tell you how precise is your mouse pointer, if it's just like some touch screen where you cannot touch things precisely, or if it's a exact pointer, then I think this is a good method actually. And if the browser has an API, like if this changes, then we will detect. I think it's quite clever, actually. This is the helper method that is called later. When we detect that we are on the mobile, then it will use the native picker. So let's leave this branch to later. And this is our datetime picker handler, which will contain all the magic. So we will get this value accessor. Again, it will never be unset. It will always be there. So we don't need this. We will just assume that it's there. Why is there? I probably removed. Yeah, like this. Resolve type. We will resolve the type. And so if it's date, time, or both. If it's mobile pointer, then we don't do anything else, just init native picker. So that's another branch. So here we will get the binding and get the options for the control. Here I'm not sure what this means. Enough days. It's just in the compiled code, but I don't know what it does. I think this is like
maybe a residue from a time where navigation days was an attribute, maybe.
Yeah, but like what it's actually doing, you have chosen it's returning some string. So like explain this. Around data ADP nav days. Maybe it's some attribute the control produces itself, but we don't create this attribute anywhere.
Yeah.
We don't have it anywhere in the project. So probably this code is completely off. It doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, it seems that AirDate Picker has some navtiles options.
There is no server-side API for it in the current codebase, or TypeScript reads it. Nav titles. Let AirDate Picker render the header from these options.
It seems to be for nothing.
We never set that, so let's remove it. We have tests. If tests would fail, then probably we don't need anything. Okay, so we have this initial config and options. We have this selected value. I don't know why we extract it to a variable. It's used twice, so 4 times, so 5 times. Okay. We could just write binding.selected value. I don't see a many point to extract this variable, but yeah, so like let's inline that.
Yeah, it's fine, and it's keeping.
And then it's easier. Somebody will change this variable, and it can easily desynchronize.
Yeah.
So like I think that, and in other cases we are keeping it in binding selected value. So I don't see many points, many advantages of having it like that. So let's go here. Position calendar apply fixed position. This is something that is calculating what portion of the viewport is visible and if it should be on top or on bottom. I don't like this much because I think the control should be able to do it itself. Look at position calendar and apply fixed position. Doesn't AirDate Picker do it itself somehow? Because I would expect the control would handle that we shouldn't be required to do these things.
I think they have it even in the examples.
Yeah. Maybe it's copied from examples. Maybe in the examples they say do it like this. It could be, but I'm not sure. So let us ask.
Yeah. And
it has already built-in positioning. It has internal set position. If position string default, if computes left top automatically. If position is a function.
Okay, I'm wondering how it's gonna look like when we
if we don't do it. So let's
yeah.
I guess let's try it. Let us try it in the browser.
Yeah.
So we see what it do. Otherwise, we can remove this code as well.
Yeah, because if we write the functionality ourselves, it's
always error prone. It can always get broken. Okay, so let me close the DevTools so we don't have this mobile view. Okay, so yeah, this is the air date picker control. So I think it positions fine. If I scroll to the top, if I scroll to the bottom of the you can see it switches automatically. So the control, it works fine when scrolling. It should handle the screen resize somehow, and it switches from top to bottom based on the. So I think it's fine.
Yeah.
If we resize it to, but it doesn't fit now. Let's resize it so it will not fit below. Yeah, it switched to, it's fine.
It seems to be...
Yeah, it seems to be a little bit off when I resize that. But it's just matter of some slower refreshing. I think it's fine. It's working fine. So we don't need these things at all. So this is not used anywhere else. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I don't.
This is not used anywhere else. So let's just remove it. And this also. So we pass the options, the locale, and on select. So if something is selected, here it's this is a typical pattern, because when you set the value from the view model, then these subscribe handlers will be called again, and you could easily get an infinite loop. So you have to indicate if it's sensing from the view model, then we will not do anything, because we get a new value. This control will raise this event that it has new value, but it wasn't done by the user. It was done from the view model. So we will keep it as it is, so it will stabilize. Yeah. So we will get the selected date. If it's an array, let's take first thing. Otherwise, the only result, it can be that the control, it returns date or date array, because it could be used for a range picking or something like that. So this is correct.
Oh, okay.
And we will write the selected value, and it will normalize it. So if it's a date picker and we have date time, so it will trim off the time part. That's quite fine.
Yeah.
Then we will assign this element to this helper, so we can find it from the element. That's fine. And sync from view model is that we will look on the value in the view model and clear the date picker if it's if not value, and there is something selected there in the control, we will clear it. Otherwise, we will parse the value. If null is selected, then we will return. We will keep it null because it's already cleared, and then we will normalize the date. And if it's different than what is selected in the control, then we will select and set the view, switch to the month that contains that date, and then we will reset this flag. So these two events will not be looping, because one of them is setting this boolean, so the other will switch off and not do anything. Because when we call select date, it will trigger this one, and we need it to end immediately. And this is the last thing. Handle input changed, I believe. So if the user is typing in the input, then again, if we are just changing value from view model, do nothing. Otherwise, then clear the value if it's empty, and write null to the observable. Otherwise, we will build a new picker configuration. Yeah, because we need to know if it's time. Oh, we don't need this here because we have this.
There, no?
Yeah, we have it because this function can see the variables declared here. So we have this initial config.
Yeah.
The only problem is if these observables have changed, then probably I'm wondering if this is called after, for example, min value is changed, then like we would be reading the original value. So probably this is fine that we will look in the binding to the actual values, the current values, and build it our own. That's fine. Parse input value. This will probably use the formatting, which we don't want, but let's not dig into that now. Let's look at that later. So if we parse something, then we will take the current. If the current is something, then format picker value. Yeah, this will probably set the value to the date picker also, or not. Now this returns the date. So if not parsed, if there is nothing parsed, we will take what is in the picker and format it and write it in the input. If there is something, if it can be parsed, then we will normalize it. And if it's different, then we will set it to the control and write it to the observable.
I think so.
Actually, I think that if we just write it to the observable, it could be picked up by this method and it should work.
Is input changed from view model, or is it changing the view model?
I think this will call it twice because we set syncing from view model to true, select date, set view date, and then we will reset this flag. Then we will write it to the observable, which will trigger this one, which will be calling these things again. Yeah, there will be not same selected date, so it would be there already probably, but like still this handler would be called twice. So I think that we don't even need this. We can normalize it and set it to the control, and that should be it. Let's try it.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because I think that there should be only one place when you set the value in the control. If there are two, then there can be some collisions and these things. So like, let's try it. So when I'm here and set something, it will apply. And when I start typing and press tab to commit that change, it wrote in the observable 2, and here it switched also. So it was it wasn't necessary, that code. If it recompiled correctly,
I think it had to.
Yeah, it called Node.js npm. Okay, so like we can remove that.
Handle input change.
There is some function we don't have anymore.
Yeah, that was on scroll apply fixed position that does the control on its own. Oh,
maybe
let's test it.
Maybe we did a problem. Let's see.
Yeah.
This is also interesting. Like this change handler, do we need it? We need it somewhere else. Yeah, and on scroll also. Let's try because maybe there were still collisions.
Do we need the change handler as a lambda function?
I think we need, because then we need to remove it also. That's what I was looking for.
Okay, so it has an identity. Okay.
Yeah. And here is the apply options. When any parameter changes in the binding, then we will then we will
apply new options.
And his subscribe if observable. If its selected value changes, then we will sync it from the view model.
Yeah, and we don't have to subscribe if observable on selected value, because it's always observable, the selected value.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can have just subscribe.
Yeah, that's true, but then we will need to add it to disposables as well.
Yeah.
We disposed, so like let's
we can
keep it that it will always be observable, but like never mind. Yeah. Okay, so now this is the picker. Let's
run the test.
Let's run the tests.
If the scroll works.
Yeah, properly. That's true, because we removed some code that wasn't there before. Just like, let me again verify that npm build was run. CSS built successfully, but I want TypeScript built successfully as well.
I think build.js does it. I don't know if
hopefully
it returns.
Let's see. Let's hard refresh to prevent any caching. So like let's
take a look at the air datetime picker example page, because maybe they actually had it there, like you can showcase it on scroll, but
maybe it was necessary. This is just, no, it's not a picture, but like we need examples. We need examples. Yeah. So like here, it works by default, just like air date picker without any problems. And positioning. This is what we wanted to do, but like otherwise. When you need the calendar to jump to the other side of text field, use the function and third-party libraries. Oh.
Okay, so they do have that's a positioning constant.
Yeah.
And you can put there a function which resolves the positioning.
Yeah. However, but like still, this works without scrolling. Like our problem is that we have maybe some CSS that is tampering with that. So like here, if I open the DevTools again, let me make it smaller and select this. DevTools disappeared. So this global container, it's positioned at the page top 00. Mm-hmm. And then we have this, and the position is...
It has a written position in the style.
Yeah.
Which is constant.
Yeah, and like this is position absolute, or this is position absolute. So but we manipulate with that. Somehow we set it in our code probably.
I think that the global container isn't set by us, but maybe the air date picker within it.
Like, yeah, but like this comes from
it's our
DotVVM Tailwind CSS, so it's our CSS style somewhere, and it's minified, so I will not find it. But like, let's see the styles if we change anything on these styles. Air date picker. So we suggest that indexes, date picker overlay, position fixed. Like here. position absolute. I don't see anything suspicious here.
I don't actually see the container.
Maybe the previous one, because calendar uses position fixed. I don't see the problem. So let's ask AI again, I guess. Yeah. So
maybe our function was needed, but
so I'm asking if should it really work itself without any problems. We will see. It should probably look in. I could instruct him to look in the CSS. Appends the pop-up outside the input, often into global container. Its built-in position is applied on show and some internal events.
I quite don't like the apply fixed position
Me neither.
solution, because in all of the examples it just works out of the box.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if maybe we...
Probably some style is tampering with that, because I think that when I look here and scroll, it works. So if we inspect what's going on here, how the handler behaves, like this, once more. So like this global container position absolute top left 0, that's what we have. Overlay, we don't care. And this probably, let me make it smaller. So this air date picker, transform, translate 0 opacity, it's for animations. And here if I see position absolute, and there are some I don't see any other things that could. These styles are set by JavaScript, and here it's like absolute positioning. So I think it's we have it the same.
Maybe our date picker has. I don't think it has position absolute. Our date picker.
It's true. Let's see. So like here we have this input.
The date picker, not the input.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. We need this. So this, we have this global container, and there is this air date picker, and it has this left top, but here, does it have the position absolute? It has position absolute.
Isn't there any issue in the console that's maybe reporting something? Okay, no, just
no issues. Like just the global container.
Or maybe we need to include some part of...
Does the body have position relative? That's also one common caveat, because then absolute positioning doesn't work correctly. If body would have position relative, maybe then it would work. No, it's not the case.
Doesn't seem to be. Maybe we are not including the JavaScript which moves the picker.
But they also don't do it here. Like they have just the raw.
Yeah.
They have just the raw, like without any special options. Let me see if we set position somewhere else. but there is no position here. So like one option is to ask ChatGPT to revert it, ask the Copilot to revert it back as it was there. But I would still like to understand why it does behave like it behaves.
Yeah.
Or if there is something concerning scrolling. No, nothing. Okay, so let's revert the removal of scroll and positioning, so it will find the correct places and it will revert it back, because like this was a breaking change actually.
Yeah, the issue I have with it is that there probably is some piece of code that already does this, and maybe we're not including that, or we're not initting it because you need to bind the scroll event to the function, so maybe some kind of init function is missing for the calendar control.
Could be.
Okay, it seems to be
now it seems to be working. And also here it added this scroll handler and unsubscribing from it correctly.
Yeah.
So that should be fine. So let me try it again. And now it behaves correctly.
Okay.
Even for the resizing of the page and like jumping up when you scroll to the bottom edge of the page. So now it works. Let's keep it like that. It's not much of code, just I was wondering if it's really necessary there. So it seems it's really necessary. I would expect that this control would handle it itself. On the other hand, maybe there is some clunking CSS that is colliding with what we have there, but this should be quite safe. Let's try it and see the feedback, because also there can be, if you are in some div which is scrollable, then it can behave also a little bit differently. So this is always difficult. Okay, let's do the last thing, because the stream is quite long already. Almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
So let's do the last thing and look at the formats that were extracted here. My question is that if we really need that, because
and my pre-looking at it answer is we don't.
Yeah. So do we really need all the functions to handle format? DotVVM should have a function to parse date based on .NET.
Well, I think the issue is that this one is the mapping back from AIR to .NET.
Send both format strings .NET and AIR DP to the control and just use the .vvm function.
Yeah.
And to be sure that it will find the correct function, let's find the function ourselves. So let's use DevTools console, and .vvm root object should have something like globalize.
Yeah.
And there should be format and parse date. Parse date, and it should be value. So let me add 1/1/2026 format. I don't know, probably like this. Previous value, I don't care. It seems that it parsed that value. If I would I will not be able to say it, but if I would change it like that, then it would be January 2nd, because that would interpret 1 as January, 2 as 2nd, so it's fine. Yeah, so it should work, this one. So if we will just give it this function, that would be probably increase the probability. Format string .NET format string, and the value it returns null on when parsing fails. So let's review if we need all of that, because probably it's translating it back from the ADP format to .NET format, and like it's not necessary.
That's exactly what it seems like on the first look. And also, it's not a great idea to have multiple places where this complex mapping is happening.
Yeah. It's looking if the function is really in the project. Okay. Oh my god.
I would really like it if it just deleted this entire formatting TypeScript.
That would be great. If it eliminates most of the code and it would still work, then it would be great. So here is the result. Probably not all of them does exist. So the custom token parser is likely simplification target. What that let us remove parser, state token handler, escape regex, build names patterns, parse formatted values, format native value, parse native input value, apply native constraints, parse datex value, optional previous value. Yeah.
Oh, culture. Okay.
And for formatting the values, there is .vvm global. Let me ensure that I'm correct. So .vvm globalize format string, and there is the format. Like this.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So proceed with refactoring.
Yep.
Okay, good. So now I like working in these small steps, because if you ask a big thing like what I did at the beginning, like use this library, make a wrapper, it's doing a lot of things, but you actually need to go through the code to understand everything. And I think this is the main message of this video, because people often do not care what's inside, but then you have redundancies. Like we have one set of functions that on the server side converts format string from the .NET format to ADP format, and then we have this code which converts from ADP to .NET, and we don't have tests for either of them. If we ask AI make tests, okay, we have twice as many tests as we actually need, because there will be bugs on one side, there will be bugs on the other side, and it will be very difficult to find them, because that can happen, that can behave in some unexpected way. So the most code we get rid of that to keep it working, it would be great. Like always, like try to make it work with as less code as possible.
And also it's like these smaller steps are so much easier to validate that it's actually on the right path.
Yeah.
Because if it's working for half an hour and at the end of its work session it's not the shape we want.
Yeah.
It's really hard to then go back and say, okay, we did everything wrong and we need to rewrite it.
Yeah. And I've seen a lot of because there is some level of complexity from which everything that is unnecessary can make problems. Like, even this is quite complex. Like, we are attaching a couple of handlers, like to scroll of the document, to change of the value in the input, to the controls themselves. And I've seen a lot of implementations where people were fighting some issues, so they just randomly added some event handlers, resetting variables and relying on that this will happen before the other thing. And it deleted everything.
I see.
It's amazing. It's amazing. We fixed it by deleting 300 lines of code.
Yes.
Okay, who knows if it will work, but like it seems fine.
Yeah.
So like that's great thing that if you a lot of mistakes or a lot of problems can be actually fixed by removing code, not adding more handlers that will try fix what is there, because usually there's too much, and you need less things because there are some random things that collide with each other.
Yeah, and I've seen this even before AI in few developers for like microphone on JavaScript for iPhone. If you know, you know. There were timers, there were cleanup functions that were run after a set timer for Android differently and for iPhone differently. And it was a mess. And the person kept adding and adding and adding more timers, more gates,
if
more
it doesn't
stuff.
work, add a timer that will jump in and fix some invalid state of the things. Except for the cases where then have multiple timers, they appear in random order, and you are adding more and more complexity. And like it's only you fix one issue and you create 3 new issues. So that's why the solution needs to be elegant. It needs to be the minimum set of things that are necessary to do that. And here, if you look at the binding handler, it's still there. Like, you get some parameters, so adapt them to the format that you need, then handle what happens if the user selects the date, what happens if the user is typing in the control, and what happens if the value changes in the view model. And it needs to be straightforward. All these 3 situations have to be solved, but if they can reuse some functionality, it's better than to implement on both ends, because then you're getting inconsistencies. You set the value from the view model, but you forget to switch the page in the calendar, so you would be looking at different months. But if the user types it, you have different code that is doing these things, and the behavior can be also, So then this file, okay, it's still something there. Why you edit it back? I don't want it there. But these are probably fine. Let's see. These are type declarations. That's fine. Padding some helper function is fine. Get .NET display format. It gets the config and takes the format. Either one or second or combined format, because the function gets the entire date and it needs to produce these things. So this makes sense. Yeah. Picker or type or .NET format, .NET time format. Okay, I don't.
I think it should be just the config.
I also think that we should use config type, which is type date or date time. Picker type. I think I know what this means. This is TypeScript thing. You put this type and you say I want only
those
type
3 things.
.NET date file. So then in config there are just these 3 things and not more.
Okay.
I think that we can safely pass there the entire thing, not just this. Let's say I'm happy with that, but let's refactor it, because like I don't care. We can put there the entire config. Nothing will break. We don't need to put their subset of these things. Okay. Format native value. So like for time, formatted like that. For date, formatted like that. And that's for if you are using input, then these formats are strictly required by input. So this is probably fine. Yeah, get hours, get minutes. Parse native input value. We need to parse from the native version. I think that we could use the date functions from .vvm as well, but like never mind. It can be here. Set input value from serialized value, so we will get what we find in the view model, parse it, and set it to the input. Yeah, and apply native constraints. Yeah, we take the min hours and min date, max date, and put it to the input min max in the format that HTML expects.
Yeah.
That's fine. And here also we should get the entire configuration, not just this subset.
Yeah, it's fine. It's useful for some things to have a subset of the object.
Yeah.
But we're fine.
Yeah. And this previous value is when parsing, it's if you have just the time portion of the value, but you want to be scoped for the date selected in the date time picker control. So then you need to pass the previous value, so it would keep the date part of the value and format picker value. Okay, I think this is much more sane than it was before,
and much smaller.
I think that hopefully it still works. And that's the way how I think it's a good use of AI, because with just blind vibe coding, the code will be full of these things that complicate anything you want to do in the future. So I need to refresh it because I closed the dev tools and it probably doesn't fire the event that cursor changed. Yeah, but now I'm fine. So now it's selecting correct values, like I selected that. It's fine. Date and time picker. So even this time picking function 6:03 a.m. 6:03 a.m. is selected. Just time picker 11:31 11:31. What I see in the control is actually here. And min max constraints. So this here should not be possible to select, but here it should be fine. Date time picker culture. So now it's localized. So here there is Sunday. Here we have Monday. So it's correct. And it shows different check format of date. And this date time binding synchronization, it still works. We set on the server side, it's here. Update range. I'm not sure what it's updating the min and max date. Update placeholder. So if I remove the value, it's updated placeholder. Time binding synchronization. So I set something, update time range, and my range is now limited from 10 to 16. It wasn't probably before. Let me try it once more. So here, so now the time range is from 8 to 18, and I now set it from 10 to 16. So I can restrict that. Datetime picker form field, it's the same, but it's wrapped as a form field, so it has a label and it should have validation. Maybe we are not testing it here, I guess. That's one thing we should cover. Here is date range, but they are not connected. For now, it's just like two controls, but like you can select even invalid range. This is just the problem of this example. And here it's how it behaves with the postback. What is maybe missing from the control, I realized it just now, is there is no selected date or like selection changed. There is no event that would be triggered for that. So that's a feature we have to ask AI to add, because we don't have it there. So that's
a command that
would be fired whenever the value is changed. However, I think that we managed to show the principles to how to make code review of AI-generated code, what things to look like. And I think the crucial thing is that still, even if you generate thousands of lines of code using AI, you should still understand how it works, what's under the hood, Otherwise, you can never be sure that it would be not correct. Even if you are sure what is in the code, there can be bugs, but like it will probably not do unpredictable things because you are aware of what you have in your code base. So I think this is our final message. If you use AI, and you should use AI to write code, be sure to check the results and make sure that the code looks like what you really want. AI makes a lot of things really unnecessarily defensive, that it's expecting nulls where they shouldn't be. If they are there, you have a problem somewhere else, so the problem should be carried on that place where it starts, not on some other random place where the null got, and it shouldn't be there in the first place. Yeah, so it's always good to catch the things where it starts, not randomly wherever AI thinks that it might be a good idea to check for null. Yeah, but in this case, it would only obscure the root cause of the issue. And the other thing is that it often generates duplicate implementation, and it's not aware that these hundreds of lines of code are not necessary because you had that value in that format previously. If you just send it there, you would not need to compute it back from what you calculated before. This was the problem of the date format conversions in our library, and you don't want it to have it twice. You want just one way because it's much easier than have both ways and keep them in sync. It's unnecessary.
And also, it's great to understand your code base, because it might be just that one day you told it you need the mapping to error datetime picker, and then another day you say, oh, I need the mapping back, and the AI might understand you that if you need the mapping back, you can just send it. But also, a more straightforward approach for it is to create a new mapping for you. So just knowing what you need within the code base is also a really good thing, so that the AI cannot basically just do whatever it wants, because then it's a lot of messy code.
Yeah. Okay, so that's everything for today. We will continue working on this date picker because there are tests we didn't review. There are some tests, but I'm really not sure if they test everything that they should. Probably not. And of course, we'll be happy for any feedback. So if you will have time, try to upgrade your project to .vvm 5 and try Tailwind UI for .vvm. You can claim trial version on our website. If you create an account, click on Get Trial. You will get 30 days of trial. If you want more, just ping us an email and we will be happy to extend it. So you have enough time to test it. And see you next time with Tom
and Dave.
Bye.
Bye.